Hello, and welcome back to Hobby Vomit. This is Ian, and I'm so excited to have you back for our weekly retch. So, I don't mean to make this a habit. We are once again posting a late video for the weekly retch. It just keeps being the case that the week I'm assigned is a weekend where there's a lot going on. So, we just got to make sure to break this habit sooner rather than later because here in a couple of weeks, I think I'll have my weekly retch 2 weeks from now. And then the next time you hear from me after that, I will probably have another baby. So my wife is due, she's 37 weeks and a few days. And so she's due here in about 3 weeks. So next time I do a weekly retch will be a week away. And then the time after that will be hopefully a week after a baby has been born. So it's really, really exciting. This will be our fourth child. I could not be more excited. We don't know yet if it's a boy or girl. I'm hoping for girl, but hey, I will be happy either way. So before I get started, I do want to mention I did tell Matt this week that we are now entering into a new era of hobby vomit of hobby vomit because I have blinds now. Isn't this crazy? I decided to pick up some blinds. We actually had a few, but they weren't the right size. Apologies, this is my dog. He's sleeping and he just knocked over his bowl while in his sleep. But yeah, I picked up some new blinds. We had some laying around, but they weren't the right size, and my kids have been destroying the blinds in our room. So it was time to go get some new blinds. So I picked up some blinds for our room, and I picked up these blinds as well. And so now you're not looking at my reflection in the window anymore. So yeah, whole new era of hobby vomit. It's going to be exciting. Well, with that out of the way, let me go ahead and talk to you about movies. About our movies, books, and games, movies, books, and games, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about what happened over the weekend as well, so you can kind of get some fun updates. So to start off with movies, there's not really a whole lot to talk about here. I haven't been watching much in the way of shows. My wife and I are getting fairly close to finishing the latest season of Severance, which I'm very excited for, and then we're going to need to pick what we want to finish next. I've seen Arcane, both seasons, but she's not seen either season. So I would really like her to watch those. I would really like to rewatch it as well. And then let's see. So she started watching Department Q, which she really likes, and I think she's going to try to watch some more of tonight. And she said that I would really like it too. So I like to watch that one as well. And then we've been talking about catching up on Vox Machina. And we also talked about watching The Expanse, which I've seen, but she's never seen. And that's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, sci-fi shows. So we'll see what comes next. But I really haven't been watching much TV. Reading books has taken up my time, reading Mercy, Malazan, and Devils. And frankly, right now, I'm very okay with that. That's kind of what I prefer to be doing. And we've got some really good discussion content coming out for those. So I'm just excited overall to kind of be getting into that. In terms of movies, we do have a movie on deck right now, which is actually a movie I picked out. I really wanted us to do a discussion over 12 Angry Men, the old version. That is one of my favorite movies of all time. I just think it's so cool. And I will just love the whole setup of that movie. If you've not seen it before, I heavily recommend that you go watch it. Again, the older version, but basically it's about 12 jurors who are having to decide on whether or not a young man should face the death penalty. And it's just a very, very cool setup. So I heavily recommend that you go watch it. I've never seen the newer version. I don't really care to. The older version is just perfect. So I had picked that one, not because obviously I'd already seen it, but I just really wanted to discuss it with the other guys on Hobby Vomit to see what they would think of that movie too. I think a few of them have seen it, but it's probably been a while, whereas I watch it like every few years. So I've watched it. I was first introduced it actually by my social studies teacher back in 2009. Yeah, back in 2009. And I think I've watched it every few years since. So I've probably watched it at least 6 times. And I'm excited to watch it again. It's just, like I said, it's one of my favorite movies. So we got that, and we're going to watch that hopefully within the next 2 weeks before our discussion. I mean, we are going to watch it within the next 2 weeks for our discussion. The only movie I really watched recently was Brave New World, the Marvel with Captain Falcon. No, with Falcon, the new Captain America. I know I laugh at my own jokes because I'm a total nerd. Anyway, so it was okay. Um, I don't know, like I get that there's also a point where you can use these movies to try to onboard new talent, and so I can't expect every MCU film to have the same level of quality. But I think at this point, if the MCU really wants to be able to do like a second Avengers, I think that they need to start taking some more pride in the movies they're putting out. I mean, again, there's a lot of MCU content, so not everyone can hit, but it's now kind of getting to a point where it feels like they've lost the passion for these movies, and that's very sad to see. There were a lot of scenes that were just like very badly done. Like they just appeared like a low budget, even though it's not supposed to be a low budget film. It just seemed like they were like, well, we just need these kind of elements to communicate this message, and then let's move on. And that was just really sad to see. Also, except for the close-up shots, they basically use the same computer graphics for the Hulk, for Red Hulk, as they do for Bruce Banner Hulk. So there were like moments where you were like looking at a red version of Bruce Banner Hulk, and it was very obvious that it was a red version of Bruce Banner Hulk, even though it's supposed to not be. It's supposed to be Red Hulk, which is a completely different person. So that was also very disappointing. Like you couldn't even except for again the close-up shots, like you couldn't even roll the budget for like getting a distinguished Hulk or a different Hulk. So it's just like there was just a lot of what appeared to be low-budget decisions that were made to just kind of get through the movie, when again it's not supposed to be a low-budget film. And so that was just really disappointing to see. Granted, like I said, I'm not such a huge fan of the MCU that like I want every movie to hit. But and I expect that some of them are going to. But I don't know. It's just like they accomplished something really amazing with the first Avengers, and I think that what they accomplished is something that couldn't really compete with Star Wars, as well as other really big like or not. What am I looking for? Like really big popular fictions. What's up, baby girl? You shouldn't be scared, baby girl. Okay, come on. Your brother's just sleeping, so should you. Come on. Go sit in the chair. Yep. Dad life. So anyway, yeah, like I said, it's I mean, it's one of the biggest elements of popular fiction right now, and it feels like they have stopped caring. I don't know. Maybe that's probably not true, but it's just like hit a new low for sure, and I don't know where they go from here. So yeah, I guess we'll see. So in terms of movies, that's kind of been what it's been. Really not much more to add there. In terms of books, we are still trucking through Mercy, Malazan, and The Devils. I'm actually really enjoying The Devils, and I was really happy that I got to do a discussion with Matt on that. I thought a lot of really cool stuff came out of that, and it definitely solidified a few of the things I had forgotten or maybe didn't know as well, and it really got me excited to listen to more. I should be done here relatively soon, because it's on Audible, so it kind of fits in quite nicely with the other stuff that I'm doing. So yeah, I'm excited to actually finish part 3. I said done soon, but I meant I'll be done with part 3 soon, and then we'll be on to the last leg of the journey. So overall, it's one of those where I don't think I'm going to be terribly surprised by what happens in the book, but I still think I'm going to enjoy it anyway. It's just one of those where I'm just having fun being along for the ride, honestly, and I think that Joe Abercrombie's doing a great work with his characters, and again, while they're not going to be the most surprising, they feel iconic in their own way. Maybe iconic's not the right word, but they fit well in the context of the story, and they are the kinds of characters that I would enjoy following through the story, and so it's been quite fun. So yeah, and then Malazan and Mercy have been great, but you'll get to hear about more of that whenever we get to it. So very excited for our discussions on Malazan. We might be doing some discussions on Mercy. If we are, I think that's going to be really fun, and I'm really looking forward to those discussions. I think that there is a degree to which, what's what I'm trying to say here. There is a degree to which what Chance is presenting in Mercy is a bit more obfuscated than what Steven Erikson is presenting in Malazan. But I think a big element of that is that Chance's story is very much defined as an incident in the aftermath of an epic event, whereas Malazan's story so far in both cases, Guardians of the Moon and Deadhouse Gates, have been presented on the precipice of an epic event. And in some senses, it's much easier, I think, to tell a story moving into some epic event rather than telling a story in the aftermath of one. Because even though Mercy is building up to something, there is still this story behind the story that has significant implications that you're playing into. And so while I use this word obfuscated, it's not intentionally hidden, but that there is more, more that needs to be uncovered to feel like you have an appropriate understanding of what's happening currently. And so I do think that it is something that could benefit a lot from a discussion, and I'd be really excited to be able to kind of go through that with Matt. So I'm looking forward to that. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I certainly want to talk about it on the channel. So if it's not something that Matt and I can support together, then maybe I can do that on my own. So yeah, but overall, really enjoying those, and I'll talk with Matt some more after Devils is done as to some suggestions as to what to look at next. But we've talked pretty consistently about the fact that one of the things that we just really enjoy with the channel is our opportunity to do discussions. And so I would really like to find some more space for discussions. And so I wouldn't mind, looking at something that we might want to do together or revisit together. But we'll see. It may just be I go over to Leviathan Wakes for a little bit and do the Expanse trilogy. So we'll just kind of see what happens. But I'm excited to see what comes next after the Devils. So I say after the Devils because I already know it comes after Malazan, and I already know it comes after Mercy, because after Mercy, we're going to be looking at doing an alpha read for Chance on his next book. So I already know what follows that. So the open question is what comes after the Devils. So yeah, and then with that, we can move on to games. So got to play a lot of games this weekend, which was really exciting. In terms of video games, there hasn't really been much new this past week. Really, my goal this past week has been to try to continue to work on and chip away at Clair Obscur. I would really like to finish that before I go back to or start up a new single player game. I guess the last time I did my Weekly Retch, I hadn't played Night Rain yet, so I could quickly talk about that before I jump into books. I did get to play Elden Ring Night Rain. I'm not sure at this point that it's worth the purchase. The main reason why I say that is just because for the kind of game I would like to be playing, I would like there to be other modes to the game. The current mode that's in the game is not nearly as fun as I would like it to be. So it's really weird. You have it's a roguelite in the theme of Elden Ring, and it plays very much like Elden Ring, but it is buttery smooth. And you play through 3 boss battles on an accelerated timetable. You don't have any customization in terms of skills or in terms of attributes. You just earn experience, you level up, and that levels it for you based on your chosen class. So your customization largely comes in the form of what class you choose and what weapons you choose to invest in. So, which I think personally is enough for an RPG of this style, because it's not trying to be an RPG that you spend 30 hours with one character. So I don't think you need the whole customization over the individual attributes and stats. We don't need to be that specific. In the future, it would be kind of cool if we could pre-select, various attributes or various skills or things like that, so that our characters build along a tree. But in some sense, that is facilitated by the fact that there are different classes. So it's worth considering. It does still have weapon skills. So you do get to have some flexibility in that. And you actually do get to have multiple weapons slotted that you can cycle through. And they don't appear to impact your dodge. So you don't have that whole concern over encumbrance. And while you can only use the weapon skill of the currently equipped weapon, they do have passives, and the passives are active so long as they're in one of your 8 active slots, 4 per hand. So I think there is something really neat about that. And there is a lot of content in terms of who you can play against and who you can play as. So there is a lot of replayability to it. But what's weird is that you've got these 3 boss battles, and it typically takes about, I would say, 50 minutes to an hour to do a run, assuming you do the run all the way through. But part of the problem is that the boss battles actually do take a good chunk of time. I mean, that's really not a problem. But when you say it's an hour for a run, that may sound kind of good. But each boss battle is roughly about 10 to 15 minutes, I would say. Maybe about 15 for the third boss. About 10 minutes for the other 2 bosses. So when you think about it, it's about a 50 to 60 minute run where 35 minutes of that are just for 3 boss battles. The remaining 20 minutes are for the exploration. So that's 10 minutes per day. You spend all of your time just running from place to place to place to place to place. Okay? You never stop. You cannot stop. Because if you stop, you're wasting time. That's potentially meaning you're going to be under leveled. You're going to be under equipped. You may not find the things you want to find. Like, you have no time to check out your map. You have no time to be dawdling. You have no time to really be goofing off. And I'd love to say that hey, of course you do, because worst case scenario you lose, but also what about, wiggle room? But it doesn't really feel like you have wiggle room. I've gone against a few of the bosses in that game, over leveled and over equipped, and still lost the boss fight. The bosses are very difficult, which is true for this kind of game. That's very much like the brand. But when it's that difficult, and you're spending your time playing it, you feel an extra sense of pressure to try to do your absolute best with the time that you have. And if you don't have 3 people, like I've only played with 1 friend, so we had to matchmake into a third person, you feel an extra sense of obligation to try to do your best on their behalf, because they're some rando and you just don't want to just goof off and basically, kind of worsen the experience for some random person. So yeah, that's kind of where you're at. And so I feel an overwhelming sense of a need to try to do as much as I can with the time that I have. And that kind of means just constantly moving and constantly ignoring what's in front of me. I would really like some other modes where I can take it at my own pace. Like, I would really like a mode where it's intended that you would complete a day and then come back at another point in the future, and start day 2, so you could do 50 minutes on day 1, 50 minutes on day 2, right? And then have a boss fight for the 15 minutes that it normally takes. I think that would be really, really cool. Or just something other than that, because the fact that I get to play an Elden Ring experience with my friends is already super cool. So essentially all I'm really asking is for the game to let me do that. That's what I'm asking. Right now, I feel like the game is just rushing me into a boss fight. It's not really letting me play Elden Ring with my friends. And frankly, as far as the core mechanics go, it's a really solid Elden Ring with friends. You know what I mean? I would still absolutely tell everybody they need to go play Elden Ring. But if I just wanted to play Elden Ring with 2 friends, this has everything it takes. Now it just needs to be put into a game mode that actually allows you to enjoy that, in my opinion. I'm sure there's lots of people who are enjoying the current mode, but I just think it's too fast. I think there needs to be more, and so I'm hoping to see that in the future. But overall, I'm glad that they took a shot on a game like this. I think it's a really, really neat idea, and I'm excited to see what happens next with it. I don't regret my purchase at the moment, but if this ends up being one of those things where they say, well, we took a shot, we don't think it really worked out, and we're done, then I am going to feel like I regret my purchase. I'm hoping that they take a shot and they stick with it. and see if they can make this a really great cooperative Elden Ring experience. Because my hope, my personal hope, is that this becomes a way for us to have cooperative From Software games in the future. Because I really like the From Software single player experience with the summons that we currently have, but I also like the idea that we might have cooperative experiences. And I really like the idea of something like an Elden Ring or a next generation of From Software games where you have scenarios that are cooperative scenarios. So you can play the game single player, but then there is there's like a subset of the available space that you get to play through cooperatively, and so more like a guided or more railroaded tour through the environment, but you get to play it with friends. Or maybe just we do get an Elden Ring that is completely open world and completely cooperative. We'll see. They did not take any effort to balance this at 1 or 2 players. It is strictly balanced for 3 and does not at all scale down, which I can see that as making the game harder to access, but I don't think that's objectively wrong. That's the game. They said it. That's the game they want, right? They want a game for 3 players. They were very clear about that, and so I think that's fine. I can see that being difficult if they want to make a game like this in the future, where they have to balance an open world experience like that for 3 players. But I'm not opposed to it, and if they made it specifically for 2 to 3 players, I'm really not opposed to it. Because I have a lot of friends who enjoy Elden Ring, and we would really enjoy playing Elden Ring together. So I'm excited to see what we get in the future. Or Bloodborne. I know it'll never happen, but hey, it would be pretty cool. So yeah, so that's that in terms of video games. So let's jump over to the kind of cool thing. So this weekend was Father's Day, but it was also board game weekend. So the big reason I didn't get this video out is because my mom was originally going to go to Oklahoma City to see my grandpa for Father's Day, but we had a big storm roll through over the weekend, and so my mom decided to stay at home at her lake house. Well, that's where I was over the weekend because I was having a bunch of friends over at the lake house for a big board game weekend, and we had friends and spouses. And so since my mom decided to stay, I thought it might be quite nice to basically stay at the lake house as well and just spend Father's Day at the lake house with my mom and with my wife and with my children who were there as well. And so that's what we did, and we made DIY pizzas, we made s'mores, and it was a really good time. And so then we drove back on Monday, yesterday, and then I wanted to do some cleaning to kind of make it easier on my wife. We found a snake living in my wife's dresser, which was crazy. It was living at the bottom of the dresser. Must have moved in over the weekend somehow. So I had to get that out of her house. So it was just kind of a madhouse yesterday. And with the long weekend and with the driving back and with all the cleaning and everything, I was pretty tuckered out. So I jumped on. I was thinking about making a video, doing this one last night, but I was pretty tired. And then Brooks ended up jumping on. We played a little Marvel Champs, and then I just crashed. So there wasn't really time for me to record this last night. But over the weekend, we had a bunch of people over at my family's lake house for a big board game weekend. We had Brooks, who's been on the movie discussion with his wife and his young baby, who's about 6 months old. And then we had Josh Jones, who's been on the movie discussions as well with his wife. And then we had Matt with his significant other. And then we had myself and my wife and Mike and our kids. And so it was just a wonderful weekend for us to basically spend time together, share stories together, have food together, and watch some basketball together, and just overall have a really good time. And frankly, with the thunderstorm, and the rain coming through, it just made it overall really nice. It just felt like a great weekend to be at the lake, to be indoors, playing games, and I could not ask for a better weekend. So we played a ton of games. Brooks brought a few that he had not played before. He brought Let's Go to Japan, which I thought was actually really cool. I would love to play that again. I would really love to play that one with my wife as well. I just thought that was overall a really neat game. Kind of one of those sort of mutual activity games where you're playing competitively, but you don't really have much of a way to interact with each other. There's a drafting mechanic, so you can essentially interact with each other by taking away cards that another player might want to draft. But other than that, you don't really have a way to interact with them. And I really like games like that as kind of a chill just how many points can I get for myself kind of game. And this one filled that niche really well in a unique way. And so I thought that was really, really cool. And I'd love to play more of it. We also played some Marvel Champs. We don't get to play Marvel Champs in person very much. We play it quite a bit online, but not in person. So we played Marvel Champs. We played against Magneto. And there's a way which we could have turned it around, but we had already been playing for like 75 minutes. And honestly, it was probably going to be like another 90 minutes for us to beat that scenario. We were just getting all the bad things in all the wrong order. So it was not working for us too well. But so we called that a quit and gave that one over Magneto. They also, Brooks introduced me to Marvel United, which I had not played before. I thought that was pretty neat. I don't think I would play that a ton, but I would definitely play it from time to time. We also decided to play Magneto, and he also won in that one as well. So apparently we're not very good against Magneto, which I guess is kind of fitting, right? So we played Marvel Champs, we played Marvel United, we played Let's Go to Japan. We played Hooky, which was a really cool one. I would really like to get that and to play that with my wife's family. They would absolutely adore that game. My wife absolutely destroyed all of us with a nearly perfect score. This is a game where you're trying to guess which letters in the English alphabet are playing hooky. And the way you guess this is that some of them will be given to you, will be announced to the table, and then the rest of them will be distributed to the members of the table. You can know your own, but you don't know anybody else's. So what we have to do is ask them questions, kind of in a Wordle-like fashion, to try to figure out which letters other people have, so you can try to guess which letters are currently playing hooky. And my wife got a nearly perfect score. She got 70 out of 80 points, which was absolutely insane. But I had a very, very good time playing that one. Definitely excited to play it some more. And like I said, it's one of those games too where you kind of don't need the board game. You can just play it on your own. But I think I'd be very excited to play it with more of my wife's family. I think they would really love it too. I'm very interested to see how my wife's dad does at this, my father-in-law. He would probably absolutely destroy a game like that. So we'll just have to find out. Let's see. So what else did we play? We played, what else did we play, Bridge? We played Raw. We played Hooky. It was another word one. Just one? Yeah. Played just one. That was really cool, actually. I enjoyed that one. That's fun for a group of 8. Yeah, it's like a fun like party guessing game where you're trying to write down words, and I was spending the entire time like, what's my most obvious word, what's my least obvious word, and what's kind of in the middle. And I would always try to find, my entire goal that entire time was just to find a word that would not be anybody else's word, so I could just have my own unique word. And I don't think I ever collided with anybody the entire night. Maybe once. So I did a pretty good job. Whether or not they were all helpful is a completely different question. I don't think they were all helpful, but yeah. I also think that, I don't know if this is in the rules or not, but something I would maybe recommend is so in this game, everyone writes a word down and you get to kind of look at the words before you present them to the other player, the judge, who then has to use those words to guess what the inspiration was. So if there's 6 people, 5 of them are given a word, which is their inspiration. They have to then write down another word and try to get the judge to guess the inspiration. And so one of the tricks is if any 2 or more people have the same word, they can't show the judge. But I think it's also kind of important to maybe order your words, because it really changes the judge's thought process depending on which words they read first. So I feel like you should do a little bit of like not only checking the words, but maybe like organizing them so the judge reads them in the correct order, or maybe in a more helpful order, because that can definitely have a huge effect on what they come up with at the end. But that one was really, really cool. Raw is always a ton of fun. It plays differently in different player accounts because Raw has this bidding element, and I find myself, I'm like not aggressive enough as a bidder, so I do find myself in situations where I like should be bidding, but I'm just not. I kind of want to just like find a good, like essentially a good pot to bid in on, when instead I should just be kind of focused on like maximizing just my opportunity rather than worrying about like, is the bid I'm putting in, like if I'm bidding a high number, like am I getting really the worth of that number? because what I found was I had some of the highest numbers to bid with, and I just got really passive because I just like wanted to hold the high number, and I really wanted to make sure that if I spent the high number, I got a really good bid out of it. But I just don't, I don't think that was the right way to go about it. I think I probably should have just like used that high number pretty early, and in order to win a good bid. So, but yeah, my wife did really well. Mass Significant Other Bree destroyed all of us. She did a fantastic job. Also, very, very subtle about it too. It wasn't at all obvious that that she was doing so well, because in Raw you're keeping your points hidden. So it wasn't as all obvious. And I think the big reason there was that she wasn't winning in any particular category really well. She was just kind of doing a bit in every category. And that makes a pretty significant difference in her case. So that was really cool to see. Yeah, so these were several of the games. I think we played more, but they're just kind of slipping my mind at the time. Oh, the Camel Up card game. That was really fascinating. Yeah, I don't know. I go back and forth. There's a Camel Up board game and a Camel Up card game. They're both really interesting. The one thing I did find with the Camel Up card game is that you have to take bets, but it really doesn't feel good to be taking bets. And I didn't like that part of it too much. In the Camel Up board game, it did feel like that, like the betting part of it was really interesting. Or at least maybe not interesting is the right word, but it felt like I always had the opportunity to make useful bets. But in this game, it felt like the first few bets were useful, and then the rest of the bets really weren't. And so I didn't like that as much. So I don't know if I'd really play that one again or if I played over the board game, but we'll have to see. It could also be like a player number thing. I'm not really sure. But yeah. Overall, thematically, always fun to play Camel Up. It's just a really funny game. But yeah, now, I mean, there is a horse betting game I've got to play with Brooks that had a lot of sophistication to it. And I thought that one did the whole betting thing really well. That one seemed like everything was just, there was always something useful to do. I think that's kind of one of the problems with Camel Up is it can dry out, for sort of lack of a better phrase. Yeah, so Matt would probably remember better than I would the games we play. I don't keep a log. I know Jonesy and Brooks do. Maybe I should. But I think that covers a pretty good number of them. We played Love Letter. That was the one that I did do very well at. I won every single round of Love Letter. But I really enjoy Love Letter, and so it's always a fun time. I used to, when I had my first internship in Boston, we had Resistance Fridays, but most days of the week we played Love Letter. And so we'd get together during lunch because there was a cafeteria at the workspace that we'd all eat at. And so we'd get together and we'd play board games during lunch. And Love Letter was one of the more common board games that we'd play. Resistance Fridays could get people really heated. But man, there's nothing like playing Love Letter during lunchtime. It was so good. So I got to play a lot of Love Letter during that time. And that's actually where I was first introduced to it as well. But really, really great time. So that was a really fun one to play and kind of teach new people how to play. Yeah. Other than that, I brought several board games. I don't know that we really dug into my games, which I'm totally fine with. I always love to get to play new stuff or get to play some more familiar stuff. I think that for me, it was really neat that the vast majority of games were, I think, new. Because I've played Marvel Champs and I've played Raw, but I never played Camel Up, a card game. And for a lot of these, and of course I played Love Letter, but for a lot of these, I think these were new games. So that was really cool to get to play new games. And I'm one of those people too that if it's a choice between my game that sits on my shelf versus another person's game that sits on their shelf, I will tend to want to choose their game because I'm one of those people who really likes to kind of help other people enjoy the games that they own. And I always just enjoy playing games. And for me, it doesn't really bother me so much the games sit on my shelf because most of the games that I buy because I really like the game and want to financially support the game. And I know that I'll get to play it maybe at some point, or maybe I'll get to play a little bit of it with my wife. But for me, it's okay that a game sits on the shelf because the thing that I bought it for was to support because most of my content is played online. There's really not a whole lot to do in terms of gaming groups here in Tulsa, unless you kind of already know a gaming group. And I have a gaming group I play with on Saturdays from time to time. I'd really like to see if I can get them interested in Marvel Champs, but they're kind of on, it's not yet decided whether or not they're a board game group. They're mostly a Magic group, which is totally fine. I love playing Magic Commander, specifically with these guys. I would not go out of my way to play Magic, but I do enjoy playing Magic with them. And they also make it really nice because I don't have to bring my own decks. They just already have several, and they're always fun. And I think that's really cool for me, just getting to pilot new decks. Although I don't think I told you the story about the last time I went. So I have a brand for being a degenerate Magic player because I play degenerate Magic players, or just Magic players who play into combos that break the game. And so I tend to be someone who really likes spells, who really likes drawing cards, who really likes doing the things in card games that can break card games. Basically, the kinds of things that build up a critical mass of interactions that then break the game. And I'm kind of well known for that. But I also don't bring my own deck because my deck does infinite combos and does infinite spell combos because, again, degenerate Magic player. So I get there and they have a deck ready for me. Or I told them, I was I'm not bringing one. They're you have to let me borrow one. They're totally fine. So I get there and they're here you go. Here's a deck I have for you. They handed it to me, and he didn't realize which deck he handed to me. He thought he handed me a different one, but he ends up handing me a degenerate card draw with infinite turns deck. And then all of a sudden it gets around to me, and I was so I think I just win now. And I just played infinite damage over infinite turns. And they're who the hell gave Ian the infinite deck? What are you thinking? So after that, they put that deck on ice. They're he cannot go anywhere near this deck. And so I got to play fun minion decks or fun graveyard recurrence decks and stuff like that. And I didn't win any of the other games, which is totally fine. I got pretty close to winning. Maybe I did. No, I did win one other game. It was nigh loss though. I mean, it was really close. Not like a degenerate I just win now combo. So yeah, it was very, very fun. But that's kind of how they are. So I'm excited. Maybe I can get them in other card games like LCGs, or maybe we can actually get into some other board games. We did play The Thing, so I know I mentioned that one. But yeah, it'd be fun to see if we can do some more stuff there. Other than that, I don't think I really have more to share. I'm kind of hitting my mark here. So anyway, I think what I want to kind of close off with here is the fact that I have several ideas for some stuff I want to bring to the channel. I'd really like to find some space here to be able to talk about custom content and mods, because we have a couple of really cool things going on right now. The first really cool thing is we have officially busted 1,000 subs on my Dwarf Romantic Sakura mod, which is absolutely amazing. I put a lot of time and effort into putting out a Primal the Awakening mod, and I think today I still only have 250 and 260 mods. One of the big challenges with that one was I was not the first one to ship a mod, and Matt and I have discussed this, but also I didn't put the Primal the Awakening box on the mod thumbnail, which in hindsight is definitely a big mistake. If you're going to make a mod for an existing game on TTS, you really want to be very obvious about that game. So yeah, I think that really hurt the longevity of that. But I put a lot of time and effort into that mod in different ways. And I was lucky enough with that mod to have a lot of the assets already scanned for me. And was lucky enough to meet another mod creator whose mod is doing much better than mine, by the way, which is awesome. And because he deserves the attention for all the hard work that he put in. And so he was fortunate. I was very glad for him to share that with me. And I shared some scripting stuff with him, but I put a lot of scripting work into that one, a lot of scripting work. And I wanted to be different with that mod by making it more of a Marvel Champs experience, where the whole setup is taken up care for you. You can basically get a bunch of tokens that set up your villains for you, in this case monsters. And so I did a lot to really make it a Marvel Champs-like experience for Primal the Awakening. And so, I mean, as far as the mods go, that my mod is the mod for getting a game and a scenario set up in like 1 minute flat, if not 15 seconds flat. I mean, it makes it super quick for you to pick a character, pick a scenario, get into the game. And that was the intention, to make it super fast. And even though it was different, and even though I put in the scripting work for that, we only got to like 200 subs. Really, more of those subs actually come since Matt suggested I change the thumbnail, and I did. So all that is to say is I did not expect Dwarf Romantic Sakura to actually do that well on TTS. I also just didn't know if there'd still be an audience for Dwarf Romantic Sakura. You know, it's a really fun game, but I didn't know if people would be looking for it. But I really enjoy it, and I really wanted to play it with Matt, and I really wanted us to put it on the channel. And so I put that mod together, and that meant I had to do all the scanning myself, and I had to put in all that labor, but I didn't do much scripting. So I put a lot more labor into scanning the content. There is a bit of scripting, but I got to just really reuse stuff I've made in the past, so it really wasn't too bad scripting it. But yeah, so I've been absolutely humbled and blessed, and frankly just super thankful to see how many people have actually latched onto that. And I'm just really happy to see that so many people are getting to check out the mod and play it. I'll be putting out another update for the mod this coming Monday to fix some of the things that people have highlighted. But even to date, I haven't read all of the comments we've gotten on our videos, so I'll have to check that. But as far as I know, I only have really like one comment on the mod that has identified anything that I need to fix. So our own campaign playthrough has identified a few things, and I'll go about fixing those. But they're mostly just QOL stuff. But anyway, I'll have an update going out next week, and then I'm going to think about maybe something really fun that we can do as a celebration for 1,000 subs. So I think that's just really, really cool. So there's that. And then secondly, I have other mods out for other games. So I'm currently working on a homebrew, on a custom deck for Marvel Champions based on Echo from League of Legends, although this is more like Echo from Arcane. And I've been putting a lot of time and effort into that, and I've been really enjoying what's coming out of that. So I would like to find some space to talk about modding as a hobby and what I do to mod as a hobby and how other people can get into it and kind of what's all involved in that process. So I think that would be pretty cool, and I hope that people would be interested in that kind of thing. So I'm also wanting to maybe think about putting some stuff out like that out on the channel, so others who kind of want to see what the modding process is like can see that. But yeah, so I just wanted to close off with that. And other than that, just go and say that I'm glad to be back and be doing another Retch. And I hope that you all are doing very well. And I look forward to talking with you some more in our next weekly Retch together here in a few weeks, which, if all goes well, means I will be right around the corner, so to speak, from baby number 4, from being a dad of a 4th child. So looking forward to that, giving you all an update on what's going on, and then giving you all an update on baby after that. So until then, y'all take care, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.